An O, a sky, a fabric, an undertow, a blanket laid upon the grass, all the mixed faces looking out or looking in, the great paintings in yard sales and museums, the abstract and representational, the oils, the acrylics, the ink. In the poem, the evening is spread out like a media to let the windbag out of, to neutralize our eternal footman, who is presidentially nimble and wears a big gold middle ring to rap us on the head with. So much to see, invest in, deny, when the sky is a slow-moving sea life. A poker tell, the tiny night finches nested deep and dead asleep in the urban bamboo. You see, there is no longer a president, only an invisible, indivisible male muse, all oscuro, dark substance, molecularly swarming in fields, in cities, like a cloud rising from sidewalks, to make individual appearances so shaded, so shrouded in oil, Whistler could have done him. Sometimes appearing in well-cut overcoat or next to a tall case clock to say, look, this was deal made a long time ago. Can you give me a ride to the vacated cities with most hospitable ports? A couple of lonely men had plans that got shoved this way for a building we could aspire to enter. I donated, then got distracted for a building we could enter. Perhaps we shouldn't aspire, I mean, but it is good to build it now, as then. I am entering the poem now, not just to notice the pronoun I, but how casually the no longer a president has used it. The sky is a sea we all committed before sinking into the most hospitable port where dust plays dark before flying invisibly into undeadly messengers done up as citizens. So it's all substance to make our children's lives better than now. Riddle me a situation I would take as conduit or altar. Our groceries turn out. There is a lot of room for metaphysics in this country. I call waiting. The GPS navigational finding device, enhanced search, the overly Google mapped, severe lack of frontier in the world, so lots of people have begun exploring the sewers, recording the sounds of manhole covers as cars roll over them. Only 12 feet down, it feels like 100, and there are rubber boots called waders, but they fill up quickly and are discarded. The idea is to tramp what all gets transformed back into Earth's core. I would like to take some of that infant stardust that has fallen on your head. Why can't I be shrouded in it, if only undercurrent? I used to say my sister sold time on the radio because that's what she did. But then television killed radio, and the internet replaced television, and video games killed us all. So now we're no more living beyond end of the river valley of that particular program. Now Time says it will save a working copy of the image with a slightly different name. My sister and I continue to run up and down the stairs. Now I will give her a feminine ending or an infant star fabric to unfurl. The lonely men were right to want to fold their flags back into a triangle, star against star, when someone died. We could unfold and try once more to open a language in which we do not do most of the killing, a drop-in date for the ungrievable. Some will always refuse this country to come forward. We could all take off our skulls and stare into them, ecstatic in the contours, rank waterfalls, gray-green opal stones, the alert pianist, key phrases of the Arcadians, Indo-European root rock, doo-wop. On rocky crags recline the dead, the born or birthing wet, with their last or first words. We could take our fallen-off temperate fur and begin to recite a Greek story, a groan. Now, to what does it matter? World to come, word to hold in the mouth and swallow. Untapped. What does it mean if there is no way to say it, if you haven't heard it before? So we are all writing, and people say there are too many books, though it seems to be reading that refuses to die. This is the good part, the part looking at the part. Can you tell if this is the good part? You can tell if this is the good part, if it is the part looking back at you, not wanting to see someone else airbrushed all over you. It is the feeling of being embodied by the person you love, or are sweet on, enchanted by. Not that they feel you, but that you are them. They've come to live inside you. You look like them. You are so them. You see through them and imagine they are looking at you, being them. So, where are you? I am still beautiful. And this poem is called Opened, and it's for Gabrielle Giffords, who is the Arizona senator who was shot in the head a couple of months ago. Opened. So it was like sleep and waking, sleep and fraud on my visa, sleep, California waiting out radioactive plume, and today another trying card in Miami Winn-Dixie. Did they want groceries or did they want cash? Sleep. Freeway sign said take Lucky Drive to bypass bank robbery in shopping mall. So that's where the 2 bullets went through. What sphinx pushes up at the fog in the parking lot, turning each upon each our moral imaginations? If it's a gun law, this tragedy will pull through. And what was there to, and did she see? Gritty blue sink of desert night sky with her off to the side like a wonder. Or your basic hospital room, sleep, a solitary male nurse, a husband. Here we pour a new layer, visible for all to see how we want to be as transparent as possible, but remain gradient, dangerous when once it was them, an error, a horror now that it is. What are we to the man who attacked the gunman as he started to reload? A constituency? Ducks in the arcade stir a glassy water, sleep, amplify, gun with cord tied to it so no one will take it. The little girl with a hole in her chest, first girl player to play in the middle leagues, gritty blue sunken shame as if the desert could hiss, fold. The 6 dead behind her eyelids, leave them open. Let us place no more constraints on the eyes of the dead. Illegible cross-outs turned inward, searching themselves to escape like figures met in a dream. She is walking down the hall with a shopping cart. Never and always a back to the door, whose side, once she appears again, but they won't show her to us as her husband's launch of 4 spacewalks to install the alpha magnetic spectrometer will take all 4 walks to sift, sleep through cosmic rays to define the origin of the universe, though by now that plays a minor key. It could be plutonium, it could be uranium, we just don't know. A radioactive plume to drift over California Friday by noon, a shadow of cloud on the stream, crows that range and radiate from cloud to tumbling cloud. And what will she say privately, and what will she say in that language of our conviction? This tragedy will pull through, and will stand by you tomorrow. It isn't really heavily radiated water. How one eye keeps one eye on a deep and bitter thing. Ding. which has this amazing it's right around the corner by Jerry, and the trombone player, Andy. Be patient. I am patient. That is my mineral fact. I have long-term storage in double helixes, my 2 long polymers of nucleotides, my backbone made of sugars and phosphate groups, joined by ester bonds. I see imagist pairs dissolving down golden arms. I hear needleless, the sleep aid CDs, real violins, then float blue-black at the eventide, injure of the top to and fro, cut back asphalt road, a path of greening twigs, nourishing nothing personal. Rootstocks of the best grapes, balm for the honeybee's bite, limes flee. Money chimes in the community bowl. With patience, I can sit on this bench and wait for the ironworks of a previous century to reverse themselves, or I can lie in the grass. To vision the airplane's scatterlit hallway, the descent only a little shaky, like the trouble between art and life rolling me out into an unpainted landscape, the unbelted intoxication of travel, unstable as a chemical's twisted briar, medicine or drug, licit or illicit, or after-image, time to move along, it's pathos time, dodge a supreme fear, pathos. Patience was crowding anxiety. Patience was tired. Time was breaking a bone, while the twin and drone to be patient with hovered over our uncharted, rimless wants. Rictus, a slit vowel. La vida, a mess of dominoes, face down. I am a pilot light, desiring more recognition. I suck grass to the dead inside. The sleep aid CD and Hippocratic oath mixed up good in the cocktail of my head spake into like commerce's cavity. Cavity or skylight opening to the early spring blossoms in the airless baggage claim. Sanchez in stencil font stitched to my desert fatigues. Holding luggage, looking for someone to pick me up. I can be both life-charged and dead in consecutive units. Exited to, like turnpike rest stops, promisingly lit pagoda, a respite for the humans stopping and returning, the humans predicating. A human is someone who has wandered in from the desert. I am patience in a substance flow. Truly a creepy troll, truly a creepy troll. A human is the one continuing to close Christ's eyes on the great crucifixes, wagering will there now be some inevitable progress. In a tone poor, the erotics of the electronics, swelling the house and trailing to the sidewalk, skip to sound, a harrowing to go, a darned patch, a soft fontanelle, a warm harm. A human does nothing unusual, forgetting the euphoria of human potential is human potential wanting more tools to form the mind. Rest, stop. A human is God, stopping and returning, a practice. A human is someone to pick you up. A human is someone to home, and a human's long-held desire to vanish in a crowd or X'd out void of others. In mass humans, estranging light. And this poem is called My Mother Moved My Architect, and a really wonderful kind of interactive piece that Lectric Collective did that you can hear when it's not so noisy in the room. And you can interact with it, and you can draw the house on the page and stuff. Anyway, my mother is 88 now, and it took me an embarrassing long time to realize that she was an artist, or is an artist, and the house was her medium, And it's not exactly kind of a Grey Gardens situation, if you've seen that film, but, and you know, she's not completely like a hoarder or anything, but each room was this, you know, installation, basically. And I remember I just used to think she was some kind of crazy 50s housewife, and I didn't get it until much later, just what she was doing. So this is an homage to her. My mother moved my architect, cutting out newspaper clippings, making the lifelong collage that I sense I would have papered the hallways with. Instead, it is an ephemeral art, a flaxen gene. Her left shoulder, out of its socket, will remain that way, rest of days and to nights. What is mentally important, my mother moved my architect. I do not forget unworn, enormous straw hats having gone up in fire, butter churn too, a drummer drumming differently in the hallway, all years lead up the stairs, the lingerie drying in the stairwell. The gate got the girl in it. The depression was in the depression glass. The carnival plate poised in the window to seal the light said, look close to see your face. Look in the face of your mother, giving way to continuance, red wolfing each nasal fold, and the pearly restitch in the forehead. What happened there? My mother made my Amazon stockings, made my word order accordion back through the binoculars, the woody tendrils of the wisteria, a delicacy on the white pickets, sharpening up, the honeybee riding on that futurity. Once my mother's face spoke. It said, let's tear up our birth certificates and be transubstantiated. Make of this world a planetarium, ultra-dense. What the Big Dipper said to the Little Dipper. My burial plans include a new species, but first, scatter my ashes over the grave of your father. Be sure to get the right grave. Cemetery folks will tell you this is illegal, so do it at night. Midsummer, my preference. Box turtle, so still as to look dead in the middle of the lake. If one could imagine a mother between two swans, pomegranate, persimmons, shimmering trail of snail, rusted nail in the earthen dank shed. The miscellany began the perplexity. This drawer is for kitchen scissors. Peel a grape for a glass eye. Bleach kills mildew. Toothpaste, if no bleach. A kindness brought the pie. I do think at one point, as a woken child, I saw Bonnie and Clyde's car, sleek and perfect. I then understood Godspeed, and if there were any morals, I would take the rose. I do not know how the coins got tossed up like that to fall where they did, nor the golden piss made sheerest, relieved from a nude. Look into your mother's face, font yourself there, forget redemption. If you want softness, wash your hair in rainwater. If you crave guidance, be Virgil to the Dante. You didn't act this way in the other pit. My mother moved my architect, bade fair she slipped the bolt upright like the great sea chest none of us had ever seen open. My mother moved my architect, she made it pump and eat. She made this lake where I come to over-identify with the dead and call dear echo to my echo. She made me nude, sheer, and nude again. She made it interesting right up to the end, so that I have to think what is with these two heads blurred and blended, this veil not seeing back through. Tail lights, white gloves with the green stain as you entered the sunless woods. Best to keep the road a little feral where the color is, and your world part dust. Fed and unkilled, I am not through being a poet or a being. What fallen ash is the power to live? What pituitary is the grace to keep doing so? And what good is temporary measure? Did you say thank you? And were you thanking? I think that I will, I'm going to read something that I just wrote, and and it'll be the last thing I read. And it's a long poem, but it's in short sections, and there's like, little, each page gets a short stanza. And I think it's, a good poem to read tonight because of all the mixing of all the medias and stuff. And it's called, I think I'm going to keep this title, Photogenesis. Begins with sound of bell, ends with briefcase dark. Glorying days pantomime, I feed on color. I take the symbols, turn them over. I don't understand a thing. When I look, I sturdy the thread on the lake. Form. When I look, a face. A living unity recomposed. My beloveds cannot unwire in time for dinner. Against these couches, these islands they roam. The hallways blur. Nothing holds at this exposure. I didn't want my eyes to be my reality negator. Thick black plastic laid down over weeds. Bewitched female mass. Spinoza tells us the animals walk solitary in the rain and do not question being whole. I cannot see, and it is irritating me. Memory reigns all over my family. Memory reigns all over my work. Slow cooling of the ice in my cheek. I am ashamed that I would like to see inside the skull of my daughter and fix everything. I am ordinary and alone. A bosomy female figure appears behind the screen door, the smell of parrots. A ribbon falls from my daughter's hair onto her plastic town. In the big green and athletic fields, one could imagine a particularly rigorous amount of fucking. At my gate, the saturated, mildly hysterical birds of paradise stare one into the other. I am committed to the visual, though I like talking too, and wearing several pairs of glasses, that is like the description of a film. One pupil never sees the other, though both may shift and roam. Likewise, the dirt was fine, moist and coal black. Good to grow up, around, and in. The history came along unyielding and in ill repair, a system I walked but could not climb. I met uncertain people with untaught though fully absorbed vernaculars, a waft of baking on the sidewalks, on the porches, the cloudless simplicities. To extend the field, I strode my modern town hard into the falling rain. I was running really hard away, as if to stumble forward. I was one big block shape. I was many folded into a sweater. I had a great desire to see myself now as a mother to that image and build further a humility of splendidness, a riot of spirit I could die into and leap toward and for in joy. If the middle range would have me now, would permit me a particularly Blakean protein lodged too deep in my psyche, and that's what is wrong with me. If when I look out, I am turning on that subjectivity, geodesic and unlikely. Out of hunger, the narcissistic ego would find a way to get out of the pathological books. I love dancing because it makes me feel strong and beautiful and made of muscle and air. It is a weedy, unmanicured trail. Kandinsky said an object was a narrative, and so he disapproved of it. De Kooning said you are with a group or movement because you cannot help it. I just wanted a church we could go to or stand in front of and beg to allow something to remain potential so the eyes wouldn't hate their little dictators. For one eye, a small Mesopotamian figure. For one eye, a big abstract. I look, and your face is like a part of speech not spoken, a tragedy so near its comic ash. One eye is my future, one eye my mausoleum. The divine in what is seen, in which we view only the shade of possibility. A semi-reluctant scribe, I read her book trembling. Scattered in every territory, between tissue that reaches and comes near, is one of the visibles, this dispatch. Sheer out of the gauze, son, I wish you, each euphoriant ephemerae, everything ought to keep on going. I imagine my life. Thank you very much.